welcome to Swirlpool, the most metal podcast on the internet.
That's Mike Gene Simmons' tongue.
That's
metal,
that was
right?
good. That
Did
was
you
good.
stick it out as far as you could go?
It wasn't Shakira levels of like,
Pretty close.
but it was close, yeah.
So we actually probably aren't the most metal podcast on the internet, but we are the official
I will say
podcast of the Vortex.
there's not a lot of metal podcasts, I don't think.
So we're maybe one of them. Maybe.
Top 17.
Not bad, not bad. So we look at, watch, and listen to different forms of entertainment, and then discuss them for your entertainment. And as always, I'm joined by the Vortex crew.
Yep, I'm Chris, and I slept wrong this morning, and I can't turn my head now.
That is
At all.
rough.
That's
I'm like Michael Keaton era Batman. It's just screwed on forward. It's that thing where like if you turn to the side even a little bit, sometimes you don't feel anything, and sometimes you just do a tiny bit, and it's like someone stabbed you right in the fucking
Oh, that's fucking rough.
spinal, where the spine meets the brain.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
Yeah, sorry, mine wasn't fun or funny.
And you're still here. You still are online doing.
Well,
a
I mean,
podcast.
all I have to do is talk forward into a microphone.
You're a trooper.
I'm a trooper. Well, we'll save that for the next
Yeah,
for the Iron Maiden podcast.
yeah.
The Fiends here. I'm not got anything special for you, but I'm here and I'm awesome.
That's all we need.
That's all we need. That's the
special
best.
enough.
You can't beat that.
Yeah, and this podcast is gonna be metal.
Yeah, it's already the most metal episode but because. Well, no, the Slipknot one actually might have. Well, either way.
And I'm Grim Chorizo, and I just ate some tacos.
I ate a bunch of
What
tacos
kind
last night.
They were beef tacos. Had
Oh,
some
you did.
Were they
cheese,
soft?
onion.
Some chicken.
They were hard shell.
nice.
yeah.
I like hard shells.
They were good.
Crunchy.
They were good. Yeah, crunchy shells. Tasty. Taco.
Bueno.
Yes, I enjoyed.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And chili. It was good.
I had fried rice. Is this just dinner podcast now?
Yes. No, so we actually aren't going to just talk about what we had for supper, but instead, I thought this is an idea for a podcast that I've wanted to do something like this for a while. I've mentioned it to you guys, just different. I like the idea of doing like kind of albums versus albums kind of idea. And this idea came to me about a month or so ago. It's like, this could be fun. So every fan of metal knows about the big four of thrash metal. Well, tonight we're going to be looking at three of those iconic metal bands, Metallica, Megadeth, and Slayer. They all released an album in the same year, 1986. 3 albums the same year, arguably 3 of the best metal albums of all time, 3 of the albums that really made these bands the fucking titans that they are. So we're going to look at them tonight, compare them, say what we like, maybe what we don't like, which one's our favorite, see the similarities, the differences, and I think it's going to be a good time. I'm really looking forward to it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's a big task to compare these, but we're going to do it.
So before we dive into this trio of awesome albums, why don't we do some show and tell?
Okay. Who wants to go first?
Well, I can do it.
All right, what do you got for us?
It's not much of a show and tell, I guess, but today is 50 years since Black Sabbath.
Oh, yes, it is.
That's actually really cool that we're recording this on.
Yeah,
Right.
more metal. It's perfect.
And it's probably my favorite one. And yeah, if you haven't checked it out, you should.
It's so
Black
good.
Sabbath.
It really is. I actually
listened
to it about a week ago, straight through, just because it's so good.
It is the sound of pure evil and death approaching and demons. It's great.
Hell yeah.
Okay, well, my show and tell is kind of it's a game. Okay, so the reason I thought this was cool, it's a thing called AI Dungeon 2 or AI Dungeon. I think it's like
Okay.
the second version. But it kind of reminded me, it's like a browser thing where you can do, like those old text RPGs where you you can just type in what you want to do, like walk east, and then
Yeah, like the old school
Like-
kind of like the old RPG
yeah, like
games. Yeah,
what's it called? Like I'm totally blanking on the really
What, like
famous one. that
Oregon
had-
Trail. Is that one?
No, the one that
No?
had the Gru in it. It was called like Zork or something. I can't remember what it's called, but this is like that, but rather than having things pre-written, it's entirely generated by AI, like based on what you say. So it's very weird because sometimes it's amazing and like doing a great job, and other times it becomes like your Alice in Wonderland and talking to crazy people.
Oh,
So everyone should try it because you can do like a medieval fantasy, you can do like a mystery, zombie apocalypse. There's all these
so they have
things.
different themes or whatever.
Yeah, and then you choose classes, and so, but like for example, if you did the medieval RPG, you could pick a wizard, and then it'd be like you're in a forest, and you could be like fight a dragon, and then it'll be like a dragon appear. Like it's like it just takes whatever you throw at it. So I think it's AIDungeon.io or something like that. But
Okay.
if you Google AI Dungeon, you'll find it. It's
Nice.
weird, very weird.
Sounds pretty cool. We'll have to check it out. So my show and tell it's actually, kind of lame to do this, but I wanted to
Oh,
kind of
your dick.
no,
Okay, that's good.
it's something I made about a month ago on the channel on the Vortex. I made a video called 15
Oh, okay.
Games That Define My Decade, and it was really fun to put together to look back on this past, 2010 to 2019 and all the awesome games that came out, and kind of picked ones that were, my favorite, or ones that I put the most time into that were just special to me or whatever. So I made a video on it, and I'm pretty proud of how it turned out, and I think, people out there may enjoy it and kind of be a fun trip down memory lane of the past 10 years, maybe share
Yeah.
some of the same games or maybe completely different ones. But if you're interested, go to the Vortex on YouTube. 15 Games That Define My Decade. Came out about a month ago, but I think it was a fun video to make, and I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I liked it. I mean, we probably had a lot of the same games, so it was
Yeah.
for other people who watch it. They might have not even, that might not have even been on their radar. So that's why it's cool.
'Cause as I was doing it, I was
do
looking
those
at, the big famous top games of the past decade. And there were actually a lot that I didn't even play, because I never was huge into like Assassin's Creed or like Gears of War and that kind of stuff.
Didn't have a PlayStation.
Or like Far Cry, all those, I'd see those ones pop up, or like Uncharted and all these, just ones that I never played. And it's like, these were probably, for some people, they're big games, whereas they just aren't part of my list because I never played them.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Check it out.
Thanks. All right, now that we've, done a little show and tell, let's get on with the
Metal.
So, as I mentioned, we're talking about Metallica, Megadeth, and Slayer. Metallica released Master of Puppets, Megadeth released Peace Sells But Who's Buying, and Slayer released Rain and Blood, all in 1986. So, before we dive into these albums, why don't we kind of do a little intro on, just a short little bit on how your intro to each of these three bands, just a short little thing. I can start if you guys want, unless one of you guys want to go ahead.
No, take it.
You can go ahead.
All right, I'll do it
I might. That might save me a lot of talking if we share a similar trajectory.
All right, so as far as Metallica, we've mentioned this on a couple episodes before. Metallica was got into them, I want to say maybe like 2002, I don't know. We mentioned it before, the story of hearing No Leaf Clover and the S&M album and being like, this is fucking heavy and badass. And from there, checked out a bunch of Metallica songs, just like such a wide variety because they have so many, and just they became, still to this day, like my favorite band of all time. They became the band that introduced me into like real rock and metal and stuff. So obviously that was my introduction, was hearing like S&M. Megadeth, after being a fan of Metallica, if you're a fan of Metallica and you start to check them out and research them, obviously you're going to find out who Megadeth is. Because Dave Mustaine who's the founding member, the frontman of Megadeth, used to be a part of Metallica and started Megadeth himself. So you hear about Megadeth, you check them out. And, over time I heard more and more songs, heard like Peace Sells and Symphony of Destruction, some of the hits. And then, later on, I started actually checking out their albums myself and was like, oh, these guys, I like them too. And they become another band that I really enjoy. Slayer, actually, I probably knew Slayer before I even knew Metallica and Megadeth without really knowing it, because their music was the soundtrack to like Doom and Doom 2. So I didn't really realize that I was really hearing Slayer until years later. But Slayer was that band that I was like, when I thought death metal, I thought it was Slayer. Obviously, I didn't know what Slayer sounded like, but I was like, you see Slayer and you're like, that's like the hard death metal shit. That's blood. That's like fucking evil.
Satan.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually satanic, unlike the others.
Yeah. So then I heard, Raining Blood and Angel of Death, and I was like, this shit's fucking crazy. And it wasn't until quite a bit later that I actually looked up their albums, and, then I grew to like them as well. But that was kind of my introduction to those three bands.
How about you, Fiend?
Man, that was pretty good, I gotta say.
I was gonna say, that was like,
we probably all gonna have
I don't know if I can top that, but...
Well, no, you could just say like how old you were when you know what I mean?
Yeah. Metallica's always been a pretty influential band to me, so I couldn't even tell you when the first time I heard it. Probably on the radio, probably caught my attention, and I went to the albums from there. I do know that for Megadeth, I bought like one of those compilation CDs, like the best ofs.
Yeah, that's like the best way to just jump into a band.
Yeah, and that was cool. But it wasn't quite up my alley as most of the other ones. And then Slayer caught my eye because, Satan and blood and awesome. Yeah. And it's just really intense. I'm pretty sure Season in the Abyss was the first one that I listened to.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Slayer's appealing on a very like superficial level just straight off the bat because they have amazing, they just are the most evil sounding and looking.
Yeah. Everybody sees the Slayer patch on the vest and stuff. Yeah,
I guess for me, it's similar to Grimm, but because I guess we were kind of I just remember rating Napster for Metallica songs before Lars killed it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then LimeWire and stuff like that. So I just remember we had mix CDs that were just random stuff. A lot of stuff from Master of Puppets, actually, like Disposable Heroes was one, and Sanitarium and Battery and stuff. So weirdly, before I really, this was right after I got it, realized that music was a thing I liked. Because growing up, I was I don't know anything about music. It never clicked to me. It was like sports to me. I just didn't get it. And then I was got into Weird Al, and I guess maybe the genre parody thing of Weird Al made me like all these different styles and stuff. So then Metallica, we had, you mentioned, we had the No Leaf Clover, oh my God, I've seen a new dimension thing. So yeah, it was just kind of before I went and actually bought albums, it was finding stuff on the internet.
Yeah, and that's definitely
so
true.
Metallica, I had tons of, we had tons of songs and points of references. Megadeth, this is what's funny about it, is we're doing Peace Sells, the album, and the song Peace Sells was one that, when you're downloading music on those old, file sharing things, sometimes you just find stuff, so you download it.
Oh, sure. Or it might be even
part of it
wrong.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It might be Peace Sells,
but
I
don't even buy Metallica.
By Metallica.
That's the thing. I don't know how it happened, but Peace Sells ended up being the only, I downloaded that, and it was a song that I would just listen to every day when I was getting into heavy music and stuff like that, and what is it? Institutionalized. Random songs that, and then I would, but then I wouldn't go and look up anything else. It was just that song. So I listened to Megadeth, just the song Peace Sells, which is funny because I don't even really like that song nowadays. It's not my favorite. And so that was my relationship to Megadeth, was one song.
Yeah.
Similarly, Slayer, there was just, you read forums, metal forums and stuff, and everyone, reveres Slayer. So I knew Angel of Death, Raining Blood, and Jesus Saves, mostly because it was fun. It was and that's, so I didn't know a lot of Slayer stuff, but weirdly Megadeth was the one that I didn't have any real relationship to other than one song piece. I just knew it as the band with the guy whose voice sounded fucking like a goblin, yeah. Like that. That's
pretty much.
That's all I had as a point of reference. I knew he used to be in Metallica after, like the Saint Anger documentary.
Oh, where they showed that, yeah.
So for me, it was like Metallica was God, Slayer was the devil, and Megadeth was a weird, creepy goblin. That was like all I knew about it.
Yeah.
So that's my general
That's like
connection.
the best way to describe him.
I mean, sadly, I love Dave, but he's got a distinct voice. I mean, there's no getting around it.
That's for sure. Yeah, for sure.
It's grown on me. I honestly, it has. Like, it's weird.
That I can't agree with.
I don't know. It's just I think it's like.
But I make fun of it so much.
Oh yeah. It deserves
like
to be.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like ironic kind of.
Right.
But for me, it's like coffee. Black coffee. You just drink it enough, and you're like, it's pretty good. It's a little bitter, but I don't really need to make it taste better. It's fine.
Right.
All right. So as mentioned, it's pretty cool. Obviously, these bands all started around the same time, so it's not super unheard of, that they'd all have an album come out the same year. But it's pretty cool that three of their, I'd say probably their biggest commercial successes, besides like, the Black Album or whatever, the ones that people look back and are like, these are like their breakthrough albums, all came out in the same year. That's, it's pretty cool.
It's just, it's like, how close together did they come out in the year? Was it?
Well, Master of Puppets came out March 3rd. Peace Cells came out September 19th. Rain and Blood came out October 7th. So Rain and Blood and Peace Cells came out pretty close. Master of Puppets came out, earlier in the year. One thing, just as a few little notes about these albums when I did a little bit of research. So Master of Puppets and Rain and Blood are the third studio albums of Slayer and Metallica, whereas Peace Cells is the second. So just a little thing there. Peace Cells, it's only the second album of Megadeth.
Sophomore endeavor.
Could you say that technically it's the third one for Megadeth?
Because of
Because of
Kill 'Em All.
Yeah.
I'd say no, because although Dave,
I get what you're saying though, because
I know. It was just kind of to throw it out there, but yeah.
I would say that weirdly, Megadeth is the spiritual successor of Kill 'Em All style more so. Like when you listen to Kill 'Em All and then you listen to like this album or Megadeth's first album, it sounds much more in line with Metallica's early sound. Yeah. They pivot so hard into their own thing very quickly, and that's why that is actually a good point you bring up, saying it Megadeth's technically it's third. Technically no, but spiritually in a way it kind of feels like it's like it's more connected to that some of the sounds on that than even the Metallica that is evolving and maturing rapidly. And this is like, I don't know, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but this is like peak Metallica almost.
Yeah, well, you do make a good point, because speaking of the sound of Megadeth, kind of like that Kill 'Em All, obviously Dave Mustaine wrote like Kill 'Em All, and even some of Ride the Lightning, their Metallica's next album. I noticed in certain songs on Peace Cells, I think it was like Devil's Island and Black Friday.
Yeah, I thought Devil's Island too, for sure.
The vocal style, the way he sings, not his voice, but his phrasing and like
the cadence,
you know what I mean? That sounds straight like a Kill 'Em All song, doesn't it? That's what I thought.
That was the one that really stuck out to me, probably for that reason.
Yeah, and I don't mean
Dave Mustaine's. When I say Dave Mustaine's voice, I mean like his creative voice is like the reason, not his physical singing voice, but that's that connection there. I think.
Yeah, and I want to, say I don't mean that the song sounds like a song off Kill 'Em All. I mean the way,
no.
just the singing, like you said, the cadence sounds like Whiplash.
No, little things come through, and you're like, this sound. The feel is more like, even if it's just the way the riffs are written or whatever, it feels more like that early Metallica. And then Metallica kind of finds their own thing without Dave pretty quickly after, or after Ride the Lightning or during Ride the Lightning.
Yeah,
it's interesting because it was Dave's band just as much as so. Which
go ahead.
That's another thing too. Well, just saying that it's Megadeth's second album. I would say of the three, weirdly, despite Dave Mustaine's like genius for writing songs. Like I'd say it's probably the least like mature of each band. Like not to say Slayer's mature, but I mean of like where they're evolving towards. I think like it feels early or not developed or whatever. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you were saying that, it brought up a point. I was reading up on the second album a little bit, and I guess he felt like they were under pressure a little bit, so maybe it was a little rushed, and that's why it could have been.
Yeah,
that way.
The one thing, it was rushed, and also the only other thing I read at all about Megadeth recording Peace Cells was that there was a lot of drug problems.
I read that too.
So,
they were really like,
but I mean,
coked out, right?
I just assume there's drug problems between all the band, like
that
drinking and stuff.
Me, yeah.
Yeah. So another thing, as far as where they were recorded, so Peace Cells and Rain and Blood were both recorded in L.A., where Master of Puppets was actually recorded in Denmark. Just
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and Lars is actually isn't he Danish, right?
Or no, it'd be
is Denmark
Dutch?
Danish?
I thought Denmark was Dutch people.
Dutch? I don't know. I'm not from Europe.
No, I don't know either.
What's Danish then?
Danish? No, you were right. Denmark.
Well,
is
I just
Danish.
thought Dane.
Dutch is the net. No, you're totally right. Okay. Dutch people are from the Netherlands.
Okay,
so.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty
just
sure
for the reference.
Yeah. Okay. So that's something a little different. Metallica, recorded their album over there, whereas the others here in the U.S. So each of these albums are under the umbrella of thrash metal. I don't think anyone would argue that. But when you listen to each one, they're very unique. Like, they're very different. Wouldn't you agree?
They each have their own flavor of thrash. Just like metal is like, has so many splintering sound, like different styles and sounds and stuff.
Yeah,
I'd say, oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I thought, as far as albums, Slayer's was the most, like, definitely a hardcore album, like straight hardcore, like, I don't know, it was just really intense,
I would say Slayer stands out when you compare the three. They're stylistically way different than Metallica and Megadeth. Like you get more on a granular level. Like I would say you put Megadeth and Metallica on one half of the the world as far as like style, and then you put Anthrax and Slayer on the other side, which is the more just straight ahead, brutal, primitive riffage. And then Metallica and Megadeth are more typically, they have more of like a technical thing going on, a little bit more melodic
too.
Melodic. I guess that's the biggest thing, just straight up, is just a guy screaming the lyrics as opposed to someone singing it, like.
Yeah.
Well, are you singing when you're a goblin?
I think goblins can sing. It's just whether or not it falls on the ears of happy people is the question. It's one of those things where I think it's like Tom Araya's like yelling is like devoid, like it has awesome, rhythmic and cadential stuff to it, and the phrasing is really interesting, but without the melodic information there, it's just like a totally different beast.
Definitely, because when I was listening back to it, I had to I kind of wanted to get into the lyrics a little bit, and
it's
so hard to follow. I have to sit there and read it because he's just like screaming it like so fast. I'm like, you're saying all of that? Like,
it's like brutal poetry, really. I mean, that's the thing, is their lyrics. I mean, I don't want to. I have a lot of thoughts about it, but like Slayer to me, like their lyrics explore like real horror, like tragedies, like the Holocaust.
Definitely.
The most like effectively, because
so controversial about it was like they were like
I mean, whether people think it's like right to write about that kind of thing or not, but I'm just saying, like, due to their sound, which is very primitive and brutal and simple, and their lyrical content, it actually is very effective due to how they sound, like, and the fact that he's just fucking yelling it really fast, like you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, while we're talking vocals, let's just talk about that now.
Yeah, so I guess it's the top of the.
Yeah, so we've got James Hetfield, Dave Mustaine, and Tom Araya. Is that how you say it, Tom Araya?
Mm.
So all very unique voices. I think you can hear each one, and who it is. Obviously, James
Oh yeah.
gets his signature yo like about 5 or 10 years later, but
You can, this album though, you can hear like the beginnings of like Black Album stuff. Like,
yeah,
it's interesting. Like, it's not, but he's still screaming his vocal cords out, which is the sound everyone loves.
yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's just probably painful.
Yeah. So, Tommy, his vocals, like you said, they fit the lyrics, what they're singing, like that style really well. You basically got a guy who's just singing really fucking fast, yelling really high, but it fits this just blistering, brutal sound with what they're singing about. They're singing about death, blood,
hell. I mean,
hell.
like,
Literally, it creates a visual of hell.
They're writing about hell, the fictional hell, like the Christian hell, but also like hellish things that have happened that are real. Like, they're just basically all their music is an exploration of just like the worst things,
Yeah.
So that's why, like, all I was saying was like when Kerry King like whammy bars himself into a fucking coma, like it doesn't sound like it sounds like hell. Like, that's what's
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when Tom
we'll
Moran
get to
just
that later, because I got something on that.
okay,
point
yeah,
exactly later.
but with like the singing, like Tom, like his shouting, and then all of a sudden he does have one note he sings, and it's just that. It's
yeah,
like, it's always
when he
like,
wails on his vocals.
Yeah. he's
I
got
gotta say-
one really high. He's got one note. Yeah.
I was just gonna say I like it, but I always laugh when he's just like whatever, and
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
random. Like,
It's
You got to
funny.
remember though too. Like, at the time, that was like, for a lot of people, this was more mainstream than a lot of other types of metal. That was like the most. This was extreme metal. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, but we
sure.
grew up with people making like, we've heard like black metal, real death metal. We've heard.
well,
you
now we
know,
got
all the
pig
different-
squeals and stuff like.
Yeah, exactly. All the guttural, like all that shit. Like, we having that, you go back and you hear a guy just yelling, and it's not really too. It doesn't strike fear and send a chill up your spine like it probably did in past. Because it just sounds like a dude like yelling. But
Yeah.
I would say Anthrax though has the least inspired vocals of all the big four.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
They're not even. it just happens.
Well, if
that-
they had one
Obviously,
released
but-
in '87, but they didn't have one in '86, so I didn't want to. I want to
Right.
put it in there.
Oh yeah, this is not a big four.
Yeah.
This is the 3 of '86.
Right?
It's the Thrash Clash of '86.
Oh, is that what?
Nice.
That's
Nice.
what
pretty-
that's what I'm dubbing it. There's
Oh,
our
nice.
Okay.
title.
Oh yeah. I wasn't
I
sure
like
if that was a thing because
No, I just made it up. I made it up.
Well, I
Thrash
dig it.
Clash. Yeah, can we do like let's do like a radio thing. It was like the Thrash Clash of 8666.
Oh, yeah, 8666. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I didn't even
Oh,
mean to do
shit.
that.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is the most metal episode.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
We just summoned
Anyway,
Satan.
back up.
So since we're still on vocals, Dave Mustaine, we talked about his signature voice. Everyone knows his sound. It's once again, it also sounds funny at times, but it's like you said, it's kind of like Black Coffee. It's that Megadeth sound. It wouldn't be Megadeth
Yeah.
without,
I like it.
Dave Mustaine. But it
I
works.
used to fall
It
asleep
works.
listening to Master of Puppets album, and
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, how the fuck did you fall asleep to Dave Mustaine?
I can see how I could sleep to Master of Puppets because some of those songs are a little
Yeah.
James
like
Hetfield, I don't know,
Orion.
his voice just kind of gets to me sometimes, and it would just make
Yeah.
me pass out.
Yeah,
I
that's
could get that.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like crazy screaming or anything or gobbling.
right.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think of all the 3 albums, Master of Puppets is like, this is easily the best production on a Metallica album, in my opinion.
It's like
And
their
it sounds
prime.
amazing. Yeah, well, it sounds as far as like overall sound goes, but it needs to be said though. I'm listening on, so I'm not listening to the original mixes. Or masters. I listen to the
yeah.
All
Same.
Masters on Spotify or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, and
which I
Don't-
enjoyed. I was like, whoa, okay.
they sound incredible, but I don't think it's lost the spirit of what it originally was by any
Mhm.
means. It's not like if you listen, like even the remasters of And Justice, they don't fix the bass completely. It's still. But I just am saying, like, sounds so good. So I could see how you could fall asleep to it because, like, certain times it's like it feels very just nice to listen to, which you can't really say about the other two.
Yeah, so I think we're all in agreement. Master of Puppets of the three's got the best production by far, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we were
Different
talking about
reasons,
Dave
though.
Mustaine on his
Yeah,
vocals.
yeah.
Is what we were getting at. Sorry.
Oh,
Jumped
no,
off.
that's cool. I was just kind of going each one. So, I mean, Dave Mustaine, yeah, we know he's his signature thing. And then James, this is when I'd say, yeah, he's kind of obviously by Black Album, he's like a truly like great singer. Like here, he's a great singer,
Yeah.
but he's more like you said, like yelling.
I
at the
think
top of his
he
lungs. But he
had to
sounds
adjust.
great.
Like, well, I think this was like, yeah, it's peak of like Metallica before everything changed, and I think like, a lot of things contribute to your voice. So I think like super heavy drinking, smoking, screaming, playing in a key that you won't be able to in about 10 years.
Right. No shit.
Playing it in standard, and also like I think the reason it was such a drastic change for James's style and not other singers is because he completely like had to change his singing style, or else, like I really don't think he was capable of singing like that anymore.
Yeah, true, sure.
Like in that key,
and his
No
throat
way.
just couldn't handle it. Like,
we heard a bit of a return of it at times on Hardwired,
yeah.
but Hardwired is like in a different, it's not the same as Master of Puppets by any means.
Yeah.
It's just,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, it's got to be peak James singing voice, at least in my opinion. It's
No, I would agree.
perfect. It's like that perfect balance between we're not quite to yo ho or ooh, yes and all that stuff. We're not to like that point, but
Right.
we haven't. It's not all just screaming at the very very top of his range, like on Kill 'Em All and a few. I mean, Ride the Lightning sounds fantastic as well.
Yeah. Ride the Lightning and Master Puppets kind of like together, like this.
Yeah.
Master Puppets was just like the almost slightly evolved Ride the Lightning, and Ride the Lightning is probably
sure.
my favorite Metallica album, but I think Master of Puppets is their best album.
It just sounds the best.
Yeah. Which, speaking of the sound, I mean, like I was kind of getting to production wise. So, I don't know like a whole lot about production stuff, but I can at least tell sound wise, if something sounds better
what you
than
like.
others. I would say, yeah. But I think that of the three, Peace Sells, I'm not too big on the production of it.
Well, I'd say it's the weakest.
To me, it sounds like okay, I say metallic, but to me, it sounds like metallic, if that makes sense.
It sounds like Kill 'Em All, is what I'm saying. It sounds like it's more sterile and dry. Like it doesn't have
there's too much highs to the.
Yeah,
is
maybe
that what you're saying about
maybe
Metallica?
a little.
Like
It might be too. Yeah, it's the certain types of mids and highs, and like it's that 80s like kind of like cheaper production sound that you kind of that I associate with like really early Metallica, like Ride the Lightning and Kill 'Em All. Like that's why I think Megadeth is really tied to that, because they were trying to sound like what Dave Mustaine wanted to sound like, which is what Metallica sounded like.
That raw metal.
Yeah. So it's not so that much that it's bad. It's just that it's not polished. In the same
I could agree
way,
with that. I definitely wouldn't say it's bad.
It's rough.
Just, of the
it's
three,
more,
it's my least
honestly,
favorite of productions. I like Rain and Blood's production though. I really do.
Yeah, I'd say it's kind of a sloppy, raw production, which is funny because I'd say Slayer has Rain and Blood has really amazing production, but it's more sloppy playing.
Yeah,
like it's a it's a different type of sloppy, but it's that just. I really love like bands like Power Trip have brought this back, but drums that are like on thrash music, like I love the reverb on the drums, and I like to have atmosphere. Like metal after a certain point became this. And that's why Metallica sucked in the 90s and early 2000s, was because they didn't sound like Metallica anymore. Like they suddenly, like Black Album sounded great, but they suddenly weren't using like reverb on their drums, and they weren't experimenting with sounds. It was just sterile and shitty. And I think Peace Sells kind of sounds a little bit sterile and like very like it just sounds like an amp. Like there's the amp and there's the drums and but like Master of Puppets has this cavernous reverb and these interesting chorus sounds that I don't think you had really heard in like heavy music. And Kirk busted out that wah pedal again. Was this did he use the wah pedal a lot on Ride the Lightning? I don't even remember.
Not that I can recall.
I think Master of Puppets was the birth of his obsession with wah pedal.
I can't think of wah and Ride the Lightning really. Maybe a little bit in Call of Cthulhu solo, like a little bit.
That's true. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, there is definitely a wall in Call of Cthulhu. I can hear it in my head where it goes,
something like that.
But yeah, that's my opinion, though. I think Peace Cells just sounds the most budget. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, whereas Rain and Blood and Master of Puppets sound like big, massive opuses, like magnum opuses, maybe even for Master of Puppets. But yeah, I don't know. What did you guys think of like overall sound, like production?
Well, yeah, I'd say Master of Puppets sounds the biggest sound. Yeah, you mentioned the reverb. I mean, the drums, like just, you hear the drums, just a big, it sounds like, yeah, I mean, everything you said. It's big, it's cavernous, it's massive. It has this big sound. Rain and Blood sounds like just like a little less big, but still super polished, you know, and like you said, Slayer.
It's the polish.
It being Slayer, you wouldn't completely expect it, but it's a very polished album. And then, Peace Cells, it's not bad or anything. It's just, yeah, to me, but every time I listen to it, it kind of had this like, I use like metallic and tinny kind of sound, like a little high or something.
It's thin, yeah. Thin and tinny is a good way to put it. It doesn't help that like the bass like doesn't have any balls. It's like a very trebly, plucky bass, like that you would listen, like the Ramones might have a bass that sounds like that. But like in metal, you want the bass to be really fucking bassy. I mean, like at least you ideally, although like we say that, but then And Justice for All is like notoriously shitty in the bass. But I would say one thing that, you know, a satisfying, you know, EQ, like all the frequencies are being covered in some way and it sounds really complete. And I think that Master of Puppets just sounds awesome. Like you can listen to that over.
It's definitely the best by far.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we kind of talked about the sound as far as production-wise. Let's talk more about the sound as far as playing-wise of each three. We talked about the vocals, but let's talk about the instruments, you know, the guitars, bass, drums. Anything specific stand out from each one? Like maybe, I'll say, I think Peace Cells, I think, is probably the most technical of the three.
Okay, so this is the dichotomy, okay? So Peace Cells is the most technical.
Yeah.
It's the craziest one. It's also, I'd say Rain and Blood is the sloppiest played, like, because it's part of their sound, you know, like, as far as, like, the guitars and stuff.
I'd agree.
But I'd say Master of Puppets is, like, immaculate. It's
almost too good.
Every note is perfect. Like, everything sounds pleasing and, like, very, like, well-rehearsed. And, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's, like, the rawness is what I'm saying. So, like, it's less raw than the other two. It's much more polished from a playing and technical standpoint. But Megadeth, like, I was just as an example, like, you listen to them doing some of those crazy, like, I don't even know, like, insane tremolo picking on, I'm trying to remember the name of the Megadeth song, Last Words or something like that.
Yeah, any of them have that crazy shredding.
The last song on that, I think it's called My Last Words.
Yeah, that's the last.
Yeah, so they were shredding on that, and, like, it sounded incredible, but like sometimes, you know, you just hear them playing around with like adding like pinch harmonics and they don't sound like perfect or whatever. It's more raw and like almost punk like, which is like kind of like where the roots of Metallica came from, was like the hardcore and punk like kind of noisy thing. And I think Megadeth has that sound still, whereas Metallica's moved into like almost perfect like playing. And Slayer is fucking Slayer, you know. They're not. If you listen to Raining Blood, it's like they're not even playing the same. Like, it's insane. Like, it's just like I said, the sound of hell. Like,
yeah. One thing that stuck out to me on Slayer was the drums. I thought were the most intense. Probably the least sloppy.
That's the thing that's crazy.
And like, it was just totally awesome. Right. Like, I could just sit there and just listen to the drum, pick it out. You know, I mean, with like Master of Puppets, you can sit there and pick out part by part. And, you know, like, oh, that sounds great. Oh, that sounds great. Oh, well, that one's great too. Like,
no,
but that one that was the best, I thought, overall, was the drums on that one. And as you were saying with the tremolo picking or whatever, it was an aggressive perfector, I think it was, where they just go crazy with the like the noise solos, I guess. Like,
for sure.
Like, there wasn't much going on. Like,
that's kind of the appeal of Slayer. Is some of that, like,
Yeah, I mean, I liked it, but it was just like, it's just.
But you bring up a really
mess.
good point. Like, I was saying Slayer was sloppy, but you're right that their drummer is like the best. Like, he fucking rules. Like,
Dave
he's
Lombardo, right?
Yeah, so for calling Slayer sloppy, they actually do have the best fucking drummer. Like, he is on point. Like, all those double.
Even though he left like 3 times, but
right. But I mean, his playing is just insane. Like, it is the most brutal and like very tight. Like,
yeah, definitely.
I think that's a really good point because I definitely did not even touch on that at all. He's like, especially those times when they go into like the 6/8 feel or the really fast waltz thing where it's like da 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 da.
That's what I thought was always cool. They'd be like going from a crazy speed and then just break it down a little bit. And man, he just flows right into that.
Yeah, they do half tempo, but in a different, like feel.
Yeah,
like
he is super tight.
But he's just pounding on that like ride cymbal, like, and it just sounds great. Like, it's really awesome to listen to.
And you mentioned the parts in the Rain and Blood Slayer where they do like the halftime or whatever, because most, over 50% of the songs are, but my favorite parts of their songs are when it's actually not the double time and it's the slower kind of like,
It's the breakdowns.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite parts.
The precursor to breakdowns that showed up in music later.
Right.
Yeah.
Like hardcore and stuff. Like, it's definitely like
Slayer.
10-second
10-second breakdown in a 2-minute song.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. It's just so fucking badass to, like you said, you're going really fast and all of a sudden it's da 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 da, and then it's just like so light. It's so brutal and heavy, and that's something that only Slayer is bringing to the table. Like, is that primitive?
Yeah, that's true.
Intensity. There's satanic, sloppy, fun. It's probably, I honestly think Slayer might be the Rain and Blood might be the most fun to listen to because you don't have to think. Like, you're just like, damn, this makes me want to like punch a wall, but in a fun way.
Like, punch a wall.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just awesome. Rain and Blood to me is like a Evil Dead movie or something. Like it's like very like it's just like a gory, like dumb but so badass, like because it's big and dumb and like just fun. And then the other ones you have to think a little bit more. And Metallica is just a beautiful piece of art, and I feel like Megadeth is like a sign of what awesome shit is to come from Megadeth.
Yeah, that's a pretty good breakdown right there.
But I will say that's not. I feel like we're shitting on the Megadeth album. It's not. The thing is, they had some really fucking good songs.
No. I'll say this. So as far as breaking them down a little bit, Rain and Blood's is the heaviest and the fastest. It's got the most badass riffs. Like, the sound is
satanic, evil. The harmonies
badass. Like, when you think metal, Rain and Blood is the most metal. It's badass. Yeah, the guitar harmonies are fucking killer. It's God.
Like their lack of technical understanding that makes it so good. Is like they're just playing things that because they sound evil, like,
and it's so good,
so refreshing and cool. Like, it's very cool. And there's so much of that on P Cells, but it's like you can tell it's like been well composed and thought out.
Yeah, P Cells. It's the most. Like I said, I think it's the most technical. It's got some really cool parts, like the intro to Good Morning. It's got like the acoustic guitar and like some really cool leads and stuff. Some really cool guitar harmonies, like in the Conjuring. I'd say like the bass. Some of the bass parts on P Cells are some of the best of all three.
No, the bass is. The playing is
so good,
outstanding. Yeah,
and I mean, obviously Cliff fucking Burton on Master of Puppets is godly, but I mean, P Cells has got some amazing bass.
Well, I just think we're kind of on the topic of like I'm trying to apologize for P Cells. So, because here's the thing, I don't love the song P Cells. I think earlier when we were talking about Dave's voice, a point I forgot to say is that his voice has grown on me because. At this stage of Megadeth, it's not great because he sounds kind of whiny and like he's trying to write these like faux political songs. Like, what is P Cells even about? Like, he's bitching about the government. Like, what? It's like a libertarian, like, I just don't really. It sounds like, he's trying to be politically woke. It's kind of my problem with like Green Day after a certain point because they're trying to sound politically woke, but they just sound like an idiot who doesn't know about anything, like
That
bitching.
also brings a point. Is that the UN in his
In the album cover,
in the album cover?
I believe, yes.
With all
I
the
think
fags?
so. Yeah, he's a weirdo. I don't know what he's trying to get at, like. But that aside, when he's singing like later down the line, like, you know, Tornado of Souls and fucking Symphony of Destruction and like all these amazing songs, like his voice, like it's absolutely perfect for that, and he sounds great to me, you know. But for me, like, yeah, certain songs on this album stand out, like The Conjuring, like you said, Devil's Island was brought up, Bad Omen.
Like The Conjuring. Yeah.
Here's the thing,
I really
though.
liked I Ain't Superstitious.
That actually,
well,
I wrote down "I Ain't Superstitious" sounds like a Van Halen song.
Okay,
really weird.
Okay, real quick, let's talk very briefly about that. So you guys know that's a cover, right? It's not.
Oh, it is.
Yes,
that would explain.
I knew it had to be when I looked it up. Because
I thought he was having fun writing some blues.
Yeah, I had to look. That was because that was the only track I wrote down I didn't like on the album.
Yeah, it sounded like Van Halen to me, like Ice Cream,
like Ice Cream Man.
Who was it? Who was it?
Like Ted Nugent or something.
Hold on.
Okay. I just don't want to lose my point.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, okay.
It's Howlin' Wolf, I think.
Oh, okay, so it's a real blues song. Yeah, Howlin' Wolf was like
so there's that.
He was a really influential blues singer and guitar player.
Yeah. But go on with what you were going to say.
Yeah.
Oh, all I was going to say that my big problem with Peace Sells, so a lot of the songs didn't stand out because a song would start and I'd go, wow, this intro is so interesting musically. Like, there's just this amazing hook in the intro of a song. Like, I want to say those ones I just mentioned had like Bad Omen, especially. Like, there'd be this really amazing, like almost like cinematic or like orchestral, like you could hear so many layers of things and interesting harmonies and stuff. And then the intro would stop and the song would start and it's just another song. Like, with
You're
basic
so right, actually.
Just basic ass riffs. Like, all of them have like the kind of, it's like the bass for Peace Sells. There's like 4 songs on this album where the bass is just going do 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 do. It's like the same bass line over and over again. To me, it's like, rather than taking an idea and developing it throughout the song, Megadeth is running through like hundreds of ideas, like just so many riffs, so many different things, but never developing them.
In a way, that's almost reminiscent to Metallica's And Justice for All, where they had all these riffs and just threw them into a bunch of songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
not
I agree.
to say that they're super similar, but that is kind of a similar idea where they have a bunch of riffs.
My big problem is when Slayer like starts a song with something, it's like the song just keeps building off of that idea and it revisits it and it kind of plays with it. A lot of the Megadeth songs, to me, it sounded like something would get presented in the intro and then it never came up again. Like, and it would sound so cool.
You're right.
Here's the thing: Master of Puppets is, if you took that intro, the one cool idea, and just that is
made a song.
I don't know how to describe it, but like they perfectly make every part of the song feel important and very necessary. You know, like. Yeah, a song like Orion that has movements, almost like Black Sabbath or something. Yeah. I mean, just to call back to that, like, that is incredible. Like, I feel like the biggest problem with Peace Sells beyond all the other stuff is that it's just maybe not focused. The songs aren't very focused. They're kind of like
all over.
Yeah, because I'd hear that intro and I'd be like, this is going to be a fucking sick song. And it would be, but the thing that made me say that in the first place kind of falls away for just a normal ass, just another song feel, you know, and the songs kind of run together because of that to me.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I don't know.
All right. So something that is obvious just from listening to them, but we hadn't actually addressed it, is album length on these. Rain and Blood, we mentioned, it's 28 minutes. It's basically 29. It's 29 minutes. It's right? 10 tracks, 29 minutes. Okay,
straight up hardcore punk album.
Yes, it's less than
and 3 minutes of that is a thunderstorm.
I guess 11 if you count the aggressive Protector, whatever, because that wasn't actually on the release. That was a bonus track, but still under 30 minutes. All right.
Yeah.
Peace Sells 36 minutes for 8 tracks. Master of Puppets 8 tracks, and it's almost 55 minutes. So quite a difference there. Yeah. If you take Master of Puppets from Rain and Blood, I mean that's almost a 30-minute difference.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure. Totally different animals too. Like Fiend said, Rain and Blood is like hardcore, straight ahead, punk influenced, like just thrash. Master of Puppets is like this incredible like
It's like an
exploration
epic.
of
Yeah, I
visual.
wanted to bring an
Yeah.
argument that Slayer's like super fast and stuff, but then I was listening to Master of Puppets. I'm like, well, they still have fast tempo. It's just
It's more
like,
varied.
I mean, it's more structured, and they have more shit to their songs and stuff. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They have the
But that's-
speed too, but it's a weird. It's like it's really fast, but it still doesn't sound as fast as Slayer, even if it is. If that makes sense.
right? Yeah, exactly.
It's like you
Yeah, it's
listen
like
to
a
Damage
superficial
Incorporated or Battery, and you know that's fast, but then you listen to like Epidemic or some shit or Reborn, and it's like it's probably about the same speed, but it sounds so
that's
much
what I was gonna
faster.
say. That's what I was gonna say is like, okay, take Battery for example. If Tom Araya had written lyrics to Battery, like James is going da 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 da. Tom Araya would be like like it'd be like that. It would be insane, like because
twice the lyrics because he'd be fitting in
Yeah.
twice as much.
Yeah, you're right.
Exactly, and that's the funny part about it is that like Slayer plays like their BPM might be lower, but like the subdividing of the beats are lower, and he's like yelling at like I don't even know, like it'd be so funny to like alternate timeline like some of this stuff, but yeah, it is true, like they all are shredding like crazy speeds, but it's like this perception thing where like Slayer is like a hammer,
Yeah.
like it's just like a sledgehammer almost,
It's just like driving force.
It's all the same, like
going.
and like Metallica has like different movements where like sometimes it'll like
Yeah.
really slow
This is
down
gonna be
and you
probably
get like a ballad.
This is probably going to sound obnoxious, but here's how I would describe it. Slayer, you've got whatever. Peace Cells, you've got
the punk beat.
Okay, does that sound kind of accurate?
It actually makes sense. Yeah.
And Master of Puppets is like. I don't know if any of that made sense, but
No, that's like you kind of
was
just
pretty good,
like you kind of just did a comedy bit, like you basically did what what's his name the drum comedy for drummers Fred Armisen.
Oh yeah.
Except it was like
But you guys knew what I meant.
We're doing an impression. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, the rhythms are there,
Yeah.
like yeah, Lars's beat is just do psh, do psh, do psh, do do psh. Like that's like his thing,
Yeah.
like so yeah, I mean totally different, like someone who doesn't listen to metal listens to these three albums, they all sound exactly the same. Someone who listens to a lot of metal, they sound like completely different species. It's just it's all based on perception of like where you are.
Yeah, and as we're talking about other people's perception and stuff, let's real quick look at their commercial success. So, Master of Puppets peaked at number 29 on the Billboard 200. Pretty good.
Okay,
that's crazy to me.
That's pretty good for
a metal album, right? Peace Sells But Who's Buying peaked at number 76 on the Billboard 200. And Rain and Blood peaked at number 94 on the Billboard 200. So, Master of Puppets, the most commercially successful, then Peace Sells, and last but Rain and Blood. No real surprise there. But still all under number 100 on the Billboard 200. I don't even know how all that works, but that's pretty good, I would think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's surprising they were on there at all, really, being it the 80s and, like other types of metal that were a little bit more polished and pretty was dominating charts as opposed to actual thrashers like this.
Right. And the fact that Rain and Blood got so high because of all the controversy around it. Satan and
Satanic Panic,
which song, the one that talks about the Holocaust, Angel of Death.
Talks about songs like
camps and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like I think that there is a valid argument. It's like maybe like little kids shouldn't be listening to stuff before they have the concept of that, but like that's the whole point of like that's what metal does. We explore, like the darkness and stuff. So
yeah.
And also like Jesus Saves. I mean that song that I only knew that song because of the fact that it was one that people would like point out as like a funny like anti-Christianity type song, which is like when you're getting into metal, you're trying to find as much as that as possible. So
So while we're on that topic of what the songs are about and stuff, like lyrically, Rain and Blood, obviously we've kind of touched on. Angel of Death, about the Holocaust, obviously there's religious, there's Satan, there's just death in general. And the song like Piece by Piece, I was really trying, is that like about like cannibalism or death in general, or is it about like abortion or something?
I don't know. I was
trying to read the lyrics and find out. I like that song a lot. I was just trying to figure out what it meant exactly.
I didn't read the lyrics, but that was one that stood out to me musically that I really liked.
I loved Piece by Piece,
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them are, like explorations of a very specific topic that just has to do with a morbid thought, imagine cutting yourself out of which is where death metal, like Cannibal Corpse songs, like they're of a similar thing where it's like eating the necrotic vagina flesh, that type of thing. It's like it's just a morbid thought in a way,
Yeah, so then looking at the other ones, I mean, Master of Puppets, theme-wise, obviously it's known mainly for, drugs and addiction. Obviously the title track is about...
Well, you got a good old H.P. Lovecraft song. With
that's right.
You got Disposable Heroes is all anti-war.
Leper Messiah, religion. Leper Messiah with religion, right?
Yeah, I would say religion, but also politics too, because it's all about like people, someone who is selling themselves as a savior. And
true, yeah, that's a good point. And straight up,
basically, I mean, it's like a Trump anthem for sure. Yeah. Like it's like just making money off of idiots. Yeah. It's a cult leader, I think, would be the best. Like it's about a cult leader. It could be a political cult, a religious cult. I think Metallica has the widest range of.
And then Damage Incorporated and Battery. I mean, straight up, I guess
those are just about like moshing,
right? Just
right?
Violence,
it's just
straight up.
I'd say Battery is kind of like almost them like saying like we're fucking hard as hell, like because it's like the song, like all the lyrics are. It almost sounds like them talking about like their fan base or something. It's kind of like like Whiplash, like that same feel.
Yeah, that's true. Kind of like an anthem kind of thing.
But it is, it's they wrote that like this is going to start shows and people will die. Like, that's like what it sounds like to me. But and that's Megadeth. Yep.
Yeah, Peace Sells. I mean, they've got their own stuff too. I mean, when I think Megadeth, when I think lyrically, I normally think of like politics with like Peace Sells and stuff. But yeah, the Conjuring, that's like about the cult and stuff, basically. Like
it's I mean, there was a movie called The Conjuring. I'm guessing there's a lot of horror stuff and like occult stuff. But that's the thing, like Wake Up Dead, like it starts with him just being like, I drank too much.
Yeah, I love the song, but it's literally
just like it's about a hangover song.
No, it's about him. It's about him just cheating on his girlfriend or wife. That's it.
Oh, is that? I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, it's about him cheating on his girlfriend or wife, and the fact that if she finds out, he'll wake up dead because she's gonna kill him. That's literally what it's about. Like, what the fuck, man?
I mean, that's like that kind of snotty little goblin.
What a fucking asshole!
That ego.
Yeah, I think now that like makes a lot more sense because I'm like, why do you care if you accidentally wake your wife up? And it's like, oh, because you. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, what
up?
Dave.
I thought it was more about like he might as well do whatever he wants because he's gonna wake up dead.
Oh,
that makes so much more sense.
No,
like,
I looked it up and I was like, yeah,
kind of like an Alice in Chains, We Die Young kind of thing. But that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. And then Devil's Island, I think it's about like prison, like
okay,
like I guess there's a prison that they refer to as Devil's Island.
Right. I'd say like Dave's lyrics are pretty weak in a lot of ways. Like
got a little bit of cheesiness, corniness in them. I'd say
it's corny. It's corny, but also really pretentious because, like I said, it's like that, like kind of like white dude bitching about. I don't know, people's perception of him or something. Is that what, what does peace sells, but who's buying me? What does that mean?
You mean just the phrase there?
Yeah, peace doesn't sell. Does he mean he's making fun of hippies? Like, because it's like peace, like, I bet that's what it is. It could be that.
Yeah.
But I guess I just have always thought of Dave, like you listen to or read some of his lyrics where he's trying to sound really thoughtful or, deep or something.
Doesn't maybe come across as deep as he thought or something.
It comes off as really juvenile. Like he never learned beyond, like whatever he was at this time. Like how old is he at this time? Like 20?
God, I don't know. I don't know.
You can tell he's young. Like Metallica songs are kind of timeless because they're about you know, these timeless things like war, or like what it's like to be in war, and like
Yeah, for sure.
literature and like addiction, and they feel like timeless like art pieces of art, whereas these songs sound like an early 20s douchebag bitching about his life. Like that's the big difference between these albums, I think, is Master of Puppets feels like art, Peace Cells feels like Dave Mustaine's like getting it together after being kicked out of Metallica, and Rain and Blood is also art, you know, like it feels
a bloody
like,
masterpiece.
Yeah, a Pollock nightmare or something, you know, but that's, I think, the biggest thing that sucks about the Megadeth thing is we know how epic Megadeth songs are, and eventually, I mean, you know, their albums get
Rust in Peace and Countdown to Extinction, they get, you know, like better, I would say.
Totally, yes, absolutely. I think maybe he just wasn't in a very good place at this time. Probably not. I mean, we were just reading
drugs and being kicked out of Metallica would do that.
Being kicked out of Metallica.
Very bitter. I mean, very
like,
angry, you know, and I guess he's got a lot of pent up aggression.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And like I said, I like the album. I just think it's the weakest of the three, personally.
I'd agree. But... So since we're on that, I have some these are just quick things, quick questions, and just give me your
quips.
Answer. You know, we each give an answer. So about all three.
All right.
What of the three? What's your favorite album cover? Fiend,
Slayer,
visuals,
Rain and Blood.
The visual
is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. You just look at the album cover. Which is your favorite? You just looking at them. What's your favorite?
I'd say Slayer, and then I'd say Master of Puppets. I really like the album art.
Man, that's tough.
Chris, what would you? Really if you can only pick one, you can only pick one. Just
all
one.
Right. I will say, Rain and Blood is my personal favorite. However, Master of Puppets is the most iconic.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Master of Puppets because I
love the Megadeth one too, though.
It's good too. I'm actually wearing my Master of Puppets shirt that I got. Chris actually got it for me as a Christmas present when I was a freshman in high school, and it's ripped to shit. I don't wear it anymore because I wore it so much that it's all ripped up. But I had to wear it today as we're doing this, so it's just so you know, and it's got the album cover on it.
Go.
All right, so next,
nice.
This is an interesting one. But what of the albums? What's your favorite album title?
Oh.
So
I hate Peace Cells, but Who's Buying? Because I think it sounds pretentious and dumb.
We're not trying to shit on it. But
here's the thing. So Dave Mustaine, I know you're not listening, but if I don't know what it means. If I knew what it means, I might perfectly agree with where you were coming from. But to me, I don't get it. I think for me, the favorite title is Master Puppets.
Yeah, okay. I'd agree with Chris.
But I do like how Rain in Blood, and then there's the song Raining Blood.
Yeah, I'm actually going to say Rain and Blood is my favorite album title.
People don't get that.
Rain and Blood and Raining Blood. Yeah, most people probably think they're one and the same. But
they probably think the album is called Raining Blood. But
yeah.
Not.
So, yeah, you guys say Master of Puppets album title. I'll say Rain and Blood. But so. Master of Puppets is just, it's iconic. Master of Puppets.
Yeah, and like I said, the cover artwork is so iconic, it's like insane.
Yeah, you know, that graveyard, that perfect red sky, like you're in Mordor, and you got the army
and the white marble
hanging on
the
grave. It's so good. All right, next, best opening track of the three. Which one do you think opens the album the best?
Oh fuck!
You got Battery with the acoustic guitar. You've got Rain and Blood right off with Angel of Death, and you got Peace Cells with the awesome drum fill and opening riff with Wake Up Dead. All three strong openers, but what's the best? You know what? I'll start. I say Angel of Death.
Angel of Death fucking is fucking amazing.
Like Battery, it's close. I think
if you're gonna put on an album and like you play, like you're expecting like a metal album, and you hit play, that's the song I want to hear. Like
it gets right to the fucking point.
It's just the biggest face, straight to the point.
I think I'd agree. However, I'd say Battery had. Okay, here's a question: if Master of Puppets had been the first song on Master Puppets, that one for sure, right? Like
probably, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to beat that opening. Of
Angel of Death is like the Master of Puppets of Rain and Blood.
The argument. I'll let you say the argument for Battery because.
But Battery is fucking amazing, and hey, I could argue all day for Wake Up Dead. It's one of my favorite Megadeth songs. I just think the lyrics are stupid, but the song is amazing. It's got some of the best riffs by Megadeth. I love Wake Up Dead, but I think Angel of Death is just the best opener of the three.
I think that's absolutely a good take. I would agree with that. I would say Battery is a very, very close second.
Yeah,
to
yeah. I mean,
Angel
those
of Death,
harmonies
but-
and stuff, the way it transitions from the acoustic into the heavy electric, but doing those epic harmonies,
Yeah.
so good. So then that leads to best closer. And I am going to say Raining Blood is the closer of the album Raining Blood, even though Rain and Blood,
That makes
even though
sense.
it's on
Right.
Spotify, there's the aggressive one.
Right.
So Raining Blood. So we've got Raining Blood, Damage Incorporated, and My Last Words. What do you guys think? Best closer.
It's Raining Blood. Easily
Ooh.
for me.
Agreed. Raining Blood.
Here's why though, because Damage Inc. is once again an amazing song. It's almost the same thing with Battery though. They're like almost the same type of song, you know, like the crazy thrasher. So to me though, Raining Blood is like so iconic. It's like 2 minutes of it is just him hitting the toms and like a
so
thunderstorm.
fucking evil.
The final minute is just rain. Like it's like the opposite
right,
of
Yeah.
Black Sabbath, which was released 50 years ago today.
That's the way to go out with an album. Just have it start pouring
Yeah.
rain.
You know what
It's
we need to
very
do
ambient.
sometime, guys? We need to listen to all of Rain and Blood and then start up Black Sabbath right after. So it goes
Excuse
from
me,
the
it's
rain.
Not raining. It's
I said
it's
rain-
raining blood. It's not.
Rain
No, I'm
in
saying
Blood.
like it's not. No,
What?
I meant that. It's raining at the end of the album. And it's not rain. It's blood.
Oh yeah, it's raining blood. Yeah,
Yeah. It's a
That's
blood
right.
rain.
blood rain. So yeah, I would agree with that though. Raining Blood. Fiend, what do you think is a best closer? Did you say?
I mean, I'm gonna agree. I can't disagree with that because that's awesome.
So
I
fucking
love that
good.
song.
Yeah. So then overall, favorite tracks of the album. I don't know if you can pick just one from each album, but what were your favorite tracks? And if you had to choose like some that were maybe least favorites, what would you say?
So wait, are we saying just in general or like one favorite from each album?
I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it's almost too hard.
I think if we don't-
one from each album,
Yeah, because I could say
Okay,
a bunch
okay.
if we.
All right, try and pick a favorite, and maybe if you have a least favorite. If you don't say don't say one, but a favorite and a least favorite from each album. I don't even know if I have least favorites.
Well, I'll go.
Okay.
I know for Megadeth, for Peace Souls, I really enjoyed Devil's Island. I thought it was my favorite one on that album.
Nice.
And then, man, for Slayer, I don't know. They're all good.
That's the
Yeah,
problem.
that's the
Trying
hard
to
part.
Nail it down.
I gotta look at it real fast. I'll say for Master of Puppets, Orion, because I really
Hell
like the bass part.
yeah!
Good.
Hell yeah!
Like, I just love it. It's just a great song, and the bass part is just great.
The part where the bass.
God
Okay,
damn,
it goes
it's so
into
good.
the
Yeah.
middle of the song.
Yeah, the middle of the
but-
song where it just kicks in.
Well, it's the bass by itself, and it sounds so beautiful. And then the
It's
guitars
so
like do the
beautiful.
slow bend up
Yeah.
in harmony, and you're just like, oh, like
That's
so good.
that's the
It
sound
gets
of
me.
like jizzing,
It's-
basically.
It sounds to me like the most Black Sabbath like thing ever.
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
part of the song, like it's so cool. It's like roots of metal, but Metallica is doing it. It's so
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
And then, hang on one second.
Yeah, you gotta-
Raining Blood. I can't decide.
Say a few.
It's
say
all.
a few, then,
It's
if you
no.
have to.
It's Altruist Sacrifice.
Oh,
That was
okay,
really
nice.
good.
That was
I
a
really
good
like that
one.
song.
That was
a
good.
good one. All right,
Okay.
I guess I'll try and go. So I'll
Go
say
for it.
for Peace Cells, I have to say Wake Up Dead's my favorite track. I've always loved that song. It's got some of my favorite riffs. I love that's got like the spider chords kind of thing that I think is cool. I love where it goes kind of funky at the end, like dun dun dun, it's really really cool. Wake
Yeah.
Up Dead is great. There's that would be my favorite from Peace Cells. Rain and Blood, I literally have like half the album written down as favorite tracks. I'm gonna say I mean, how do you go against Raining Blood? It's so fucking good, but
I get you. Yeah.
so I'm probably gonna.
I
Actually,
didn't want to be cliche with that.
you know
'cause
what?
It's so good.
I almost am gonna say Angel of Death. My favorite track is Angel of Death but I want to give a shout out to Postmortem because we didn't say anything about it, but I think it's one of the best tracks on Rain and Blood. That song fucking
Spoiler.
rocks.
That's my
Spoiler.
that's my
Is that
favorite
your
on that one.
Postmortem
Yeah.
is awesome. And then for-
Postmortem is horrifyingly.
Isn't it so good?
insanely awesome.
Doom,
Yeah.
doom, so good. And the way it flows right into Raining Blood, it's like so good.
Yeah.
But I'll say Angel
well,
of
that's
Death
the thing
for
is
Rain
if-
and Blood. But sorry to cut you off, but
No, go ahead.
for favorite tracks for Master of Puppets, I wrote down all of them. I legitimately, Master of Puppets
You could argue any of them.
is one of my favorite albums of all time. I don't know if I can choose one, but if on the spot right here, I have to choose one song. Call it cliche, but I gotta go Master of Puppets, the title track.
Nice.
One of the first songs I ever heard by Metallica. It's one of the most iconic riffs. That middle section, the bridge interlude,
was just pulling
is
your
so
strings.
good. Yeah. So
twisting your
but-
mind and it smashed
yeah.
your dreams.
But I mean, Disposable Heroes, fucking amazing. Orion,
Dude,
so much good shit. So I'm gonna say, Master of Puppets, Angel of Death, and Wake Up Dead are my trio.
Okay, that's awesome. I mean, okay. Before I say my favorites, are we going to say our least favorite from each one, or did we already do that?
All I would
can't
say,
I mean,
if
I'm
the-
not going to say that because I don't really have.
Yeah, the only one I
but-
wasn't
Okay.
huge on was I Ain't Superstitious. That was the only one I didn't really like that much. All the other songs I
Okay.
pretty much liked, so I don't really have any least favorites.
Oh yeah, no, I liked just about everything. I just didn't know if we wanted to say like what was the weak point or something, but I'll run down my favorites. So I already said Postmortem on Rain and Blood.
Yeah, hell yeah, so good.
However, Angel of Death and Raining Blood are like amazing. The other one that stood out was Piece by Piece.
Yeah,
to
Piece
me.
by Piece. I listen
A
to
lot
that
of them
song a
are-
lot. I listen to that song a lot. now.
Okay, and then Peace Sells, Bad Omen is my favorite.
Oh, cool.
It sounds so cool. It sounds like Call of Cthulhu a little bit. Like it has a lot of evil, heavy, doomy stuff. Like which is more my stuff. Like I don't like modern doom metal, but like the old classic.
Yeah, for sure.
type of-
Bad Omen was probably my second favorite. So
it was so cool, like that evil tritone. Like basically, the more it sounds like a doom level, the more I'm down because
Yeah.
that just is. So that was my favorite on that one, and I'd say Master of Puppets. Honestly, this is gonna be a surprise, I think, but I gotta say, Disposable Heroes is
Dude,
like.
yeah.
nice.
I about
So
said that.
here's the
yes.
thing. I think that's my number one because, like you said, they're all like almost perfect. Like so, for me, Disposable Heroes I think is really underrated. Cause
It is. It's so good.
It's the longest song, almost. No, it's not because Master of
Master
Puppets is a little
Puppets
bit
is probably
short or a
longer.
little bit longer, but it's up there with Orion and Master of Puppets. I was just surprised but to me, it's so catchy and like
It
scary.
is.
It's like the lyrics are really good, and it has this cool part where where it goes like da da da, only son,
Yeah.
da 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 da,
Like a
That part-
pre-chorus, I guess you'd call it.
yeah,
or-
but that part is so cool. It's so interesting, like music. Like it just sounds weird, and the guitar does this little
yeah, I love it. I love it.
and it like it's not even like playing note. It's just weird. It
Also has that pretty epic, iconic "I was born for dying" or whatever, right?
yeah. I mean that's amazing. And the chorus is like "You will do what
Yeah.
I say when I say," and
Back
it's just
to the-
descending.
Yeah, back to the front. Oh, it's so
So
good.
It's really, really
that's a really good choice. That's a great song.
Yeah. So those are my favorites.
Nice.
So
we all kind of had some
I guess-
differences there, but I think we agree that, on any day, tomorrow if we did this podcast, I might have said Leper Messiah was my favorite. The next day I might have said fucking Piece by Piece was my favorite. They're all great. These are three fucking amazing albums.
they're really good, and yeah, there's so much good on each one that like it's crazy that they came out so close together.
Yeah. That's why I thought it would be a fun thing. So also earlier today on my personal Instagram, I made a poll for the Thrash Clash of these three to
Okay.
see what possible viewers that might go on my Instagram might vote. So I'm going to check on it right now and see where we're at. All right.
Yeah, let's see what
We have 6 people who voted. There are
Nice.
there are
More than I
5
expected.
there are 5 votes for Master of Puppets and 1 for
Okay.
Peace Cells and 0 for Rain and Blood. So-
Damn, they
I'm
did
gonna
Rain and
go-
Blood.
I didn't see
Dirty.
that. I'm gonna go vote.
Okay. Well, that's where
Rain
we're
and
that's
Blood.
where we're
Is
at
this
right
on
now.
Vortex or your personal?
It's on my personal Grim Chorizo Instagram, which you can go to and vote, but it'll be gone. by
I'm not
then.
surprised by that outcome because
Yeah,
Master of Puppets, everyone
Yeah.
know the thing is Metallica became more than a metal band, and to some people is the only metal band.
Exactly, it's in their
So,
name, Metallica.
Yeah, it's like WWE being all wrestling or
Well, it told me
Kleenex.
Yeah.
poll only had 2 options?
Well, okay, it's not actually a poll. I tried to do a poll. You only get 2 options in a poll. So I did a quiz.
Dumb.
Which gives you more options, but it's a quiz, so you have to pick a right answer. I was like, well, none of these are the right answer. So I just made a 4th one that's like, there isn't a right answer. It's supposed to be you just choose you know what I mean?
I see.
Okay.
I get you.
It's dumb that they don't allow multiple options for polls. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I added one to Raining Blood.
Okay, so we got one for Rain and Blood. Just a
nice.
Yeah. All right, so
even it out.
So are you saying? So here's what I want to know: what is everyone's favorite of the 3, the full albums?
My favorite one is Raining Blood for sure.
Okay, nice.
I like the intensity of it, but yeah, it's so good. Master of Puppets is so good too, and I really like Peace Cells, but once again, it just doesn't grow on me as much as it has you guys in his goblin voice.
Yeah,
okay.
But musically, jumping into it more, I really was like, oh man, I do really like this. Like, it is a great album.
Yeah, it's a great album, just not your favorite compared to the others. Yeah, I agree.
For sure.
Yeah, I would say my favorite is Master of Puppets. I can't not. It's to me, it's basically perfect. Then I would say Rain and Blood, and then I would say Peace Sells, but who's buying?
Yeah, I gotta go with Master of Puppets. It's like, I can totally respect anyone who says the other 2 because they're all great, but
for sure.
To me, it just inches out ahead a little bit. Rain and Blood, I'd put Master of Puppets and Rain and Blood more on the same echelon of, quality, I suppose. But I'd say that might be those bands' best album, whereas Megadeth's would be yet to come. So
yeah,
it's just
agreed.
hard, it's just not their. It's a different era for each band in a way different way. So
yeah.
But in 1986, Master of Puppets reigned supreme for me.
Yeah,
so.
Same here. All right, so that was the Thrash Clash of 1986. But I thought, it'd be fun. We've now said our favorite albums. It's out there. Everyone knows who what our actual favorite album is. But now, let's play debate team here. All right. And what we're going to do is I have a randomizer here with all of our names and all of the albums. We are each, and I can videotape this and send it to you if you don't believe me.
No, I believe you. I really want Fiend to get
what we're going to do is I'm going to hit this button, and we are each going to be assigned one of the 3 albums. That album you have to defend as it is your favorite.
What, for like 30 seconds or something?
Yeah, like just kind of give as if
there's got to be a time limit.
Give yourself as if you were.
Give a good review, a positive review.
Yeah, give your reason to us. Fight why this album, even if it's not your actual favorite, why it is
court,
better.
Though.
Yeah, it's like you're in court. Okay,
yeah,
and
gotcha.
you get the game. Even if it's not your favorite, defend it to your dying breath as if it is yours.
Is the most important thing now to sell it. Okay,
so,
gotcha.
To peace sell it.
No.
Okay. All right, you guys ready? All right, I've got it here. This is the Thrash Clash debate. Grim Chris.
Hold on. It's the Thrash Clash Bash.
Now that's so much better. The Thrash Clash Bash.
This one. This is the bash, though.
This is the bash. All right. Are you guys ready? I'm going to hit generate teams. All right. Here it is. Chris, you are defending Master of Puppets.
Okay, I got
Fiend,
it in the bag.
Fiend, you are defending Rain in Blood.
Okay.
Yes.
And I am defending Peace Sells, but who's buying?
Easy.
So, you guys actually got your albums that you chose as your favorites. I got the one that I said was my least favorite, but I can do this.
Okay.
So who wants to start?
I'll start if you want.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
I'm down to argue.
Okay. Do you want to put me on a timer or no?
Nah, just don't make it too long. Go ahead.
Okay. When we think of works of art through history, the Mona Lisa, the Sistine Chapel, Master of Puppets by Metallica. These are timeless, quality pieces of Western civilization that people hundreds of years from now will be listening to. And I firmly believe Master of Puppets is going to be framed in some marbled hall in the future. And we will be listening to this album and putting it on a pedestal as the most godlike example of metal at its most extreme, most beautiful, most exploratory. It fucking rocks, man.
Well, I can argue against that for Rain and Blood.
Oh,
Okay, let's hear it.
Because not only is it going to be in your face brutal, but people be remembering that shit for all time. Hailing Satan.
That's true.
Devil
it's
Horn.
timeless,
Like,
timeless.
Satan never dies.
That's right.
People be listening to it when they're sacrificing goats. I mean, duh.
As people do.
And I mean, it's just really aggressive music, and I feel like that's just what people need when they listen to thrash. You know, it's just like in your face. But definitely the sacrificing of goats while listening to Rain and
Right.
Blood.
That's
What
the
everyone's
key-
mom
the
thought
key
they were
point.
doing in the 80s.
Maybe
playing
the
Dun-
altar of
D&D.
sacrifice.
Playing Dungeons and Dragons, of course. Yeah.
Watching
Listening to
Lord of
the
the Rings. Well, that wasn't out yet, but
cartoon
You get
version,
it.
maybe.
yeah, that wasn't too evil though. Anyway, go
Yeah.
go for it.
You got anything else there, Mr. Lawyer there with your defense of Rain and Blood, or should I say Rain and Sucks?
That didn't even rhyme.
Wow.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah. You're not starting out on a strong foot there, Dave.
All
Mr.
right.
Mustaine.
But
What do you
have at
mean
it.
my
Let's
album
see-
sucks?
Let's see what you got.
Okay, do this whole thing as Dave
Please
Mustaine.
do that.
All right. Well,
Like,
what do you
okay.
mean it's
So
the
here's the
worst?
thing. I knew we were doing this debate, so I wrote out a thing for each album just in case I got each one. But
Oh, boo.
But I didn't write it
Oh.
as Dave. So, like,
Oh.
here's what I'm gonna do.
Talk as Dave.
Deliver it.
I'll talk as Dave, but it is going to be in third person talking about himself and Megadeth. Okay, is that all right?
That makes it better. I think.
All right, here we
Dave
go.
Mustaine is a genius.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
What do you mean I gotta go to court?
All right, that wasn't part of it, but here we go.
Just because my wife divorced me.
All right,
Anyway,
here it is.
In only their second album, Megadeth stands above the two thrash titans in their third albums. Shredding solos, killer riffs, pounding drums, epic bass lines, and of course, Dave Mustaine's instantly...
you sound like you're from Death Clock, like Metalocalypse.
Dave Mustaine's instantly recognizable voice makes the technical ability on this record by all four members unmatched. Megadeth isn't afraid to take some risks either, performing a cover song and adding some cheesiness into their lyrics that Master and Rain are too afraid to do. Peace Cells gets heavy, gets soft, gets fast, gets slow. Is certainly
Oh,
not
God.
is certainly not worried about being diverse. Unlike some other thrash albums, looking at you, all my songs sound the fucking same, Rain and Blood. And that's why Megadeth's Peace sells. But who's buying? Reigns over Slayer's Rain and Bloods, and shows Metallica's Master of Puppets who the real master is.
That was uncomfortable, to say the least.
I gotta give that a standing ovation.
I mean, that was
Are you
amazing.
standing? My throat kind of hurts now. I wasn't
I'm
prepared.
standing, I'm
Wasn't
standing
prepared
for
for
that.
that. I wasn't prepared.
That, yeah. I was expecting you to be like, this album really is the best! Do like a high-pitched Dave, but
No, I wrote
Honestly-
I wrote a thing out for each
Well, I
of them
didn't-
just in case.
I think you had a great
that was pretty
pre-written argument.
sweet.
I mean, it's too
But-
bad because now I'll never get to read this one for Master of Puppets. I'll never get to read this one for Rain and Blood. But that is life. Such is life.
Yeah. Well, I will say I didn't shit on any of the other albums when I did my thing.
Well-
I just stood on its own merit.
Debate back.
Well, I was
No, it was good.
Right,
You guys
reading
did
as I was reading as Dave Mustaine. Of course, he had the shit on the other
So
album.
he sells won that just because of
Yeah, for
Grimm's
sure.
like
For
reading.
sure.
Wait, we got to redo this. And Fiend, you have to do it like Tom Araya, and Chris, you have to do it like
Can I
James
do you like
Hetfield.
Kirk Hammett? Guys, Master of Puppets it's really good, and guys, we shouldn't be arguing. We need to just get together, get in that studio, and we're gonna. I have so much fun when I play guitar.
Not
I
enough.
love
Not enough wah pedal.
It's not as good. Well, I was getting to the
need
wah
a little
pedal.
more wah.
Kirk doesn't speak with a wah pedal. He
Why not?
talks. That's the next.
Wah, wah.
When he finally evolves.
Yeah,
into
that's
his
his
final form.
Yeah, don't tell him he can do that, or else he'll be like, "Wait, I can talk with a wah pedal." Well, Fiend, do you got a Tom Araya for us, or are we wrapping up?
No, I'm gonna bow out of that one.
You mean you don't want to be like, Random Blood's the best? Ah! Random Blood's the best! I will kill you! Bow!
That was pretty good.
I mean, you did it for me. That was great.
No, thanks.
Yeah, I think we should end right there. That sounded great.
That should do it. And just a little James to give him something to go home, yo ho! Yeah, I am the table!
Close it with James Hetfield. How about that?
Well, I just did it.
Okay.
It's done. I'm the table. It's over. Well, thanks everyone for listening to the Thrash Clash with a little bit of bash. Yeah. Thanks for listening to Swirlpool. You can check us out on YouTube. The Vortex, YouTube / Grim Chorizo. From there, you can get to our Discord, which you can join us and talk to us and all that stuff. You can follow us on Instagram at Enjoy the Vortex. You can follow me, Grim Chorizo, on Instagram and enjoy special things like the poll I made that will be gone by the time you watch this at Grim Chorizo. And you can follow Chris on Instagram at Zompire Wolf.
Thank you.
So everyone, thanks for joining us in this metal extravaganza. I had fun. Did you guys have fun? I enjoy talking about
this
music.
was my favorite episode.
I love
Yeah,
it.
fucking metal is awesome.
With that said, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have email, we have the channel. And if you guys are listening to these and you have topics you want us to talk about, feel free to let us know because, we're down to talk about anything. So if you got those ideas, let us know on any platform.
More music, please.
Yeah,
it's better.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. And be sure to keep on swirling.
Because I'm Dave Mustaine. What do you mean I gotta swirl?